drinking alcohol. That'll help me cope with it.
Nailed it.
I'm thinking about starting that too. I wonder what it tastes like. I don't know either. So here we are.
Back again.
The jury dropouts.
Yes.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Marissa.
I feel bad because you're always going last. You're just pulling in clutch, though.
Well, she's busy watching our audio and video and
All the things.
making faces at me when I'm not doing what she wants me to do.
Telling him to properly.
Oh,
sit up
yes.
straight.
You don't have to sit up straight.
You don't have to push your chest out.
Speaking of, I just got a brace that helps pull my shoulders back for that same reason, because I feel like I always have tension back here and headaches. I didn't wear it today,
a brace
though.
for that?
Yes. Pulls your shoulders back.
Huh.
I didn't wear it today,
I just get
though.
yelled at. So, today, this case is going to be coming up in court.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in July or August? Is there a date set?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to get it mixed up with the Sandra Birchmore one. That's in August. There's so many. I'm getting it mixed up.
So
I'm thinking August, but I could be wrong.
I think it is. So this is probably more commonly known as the Gilgo serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is there's
Gilgo Beach. Lisk. Long Island serial killer.
Yeah. And
Well, according to the internet, it says a trial date has not been set.
so it hasn't been set.
Okay.
So on July 13th of 2023, this Rex, I think it's pronounced Hewerman. So he was arrested for the murder of 3 people. There was a Melissa Bartholomew, and now she was last seen in 2009. She wasn't actually found until December 11th of 2010, and she was killed by strangulation. Then there was Megan Waterman, and she was also last seen in June of 2020, found in December 13th of 2020, strangulation.
2020?
I wonder if that's supposed to be 2010. I bet it's 2010.
Yeah, because all of those were found in 2010, weren't they?
They were found in 2010.
The Gigolo 4?
Yep. I don't know why I wrote 2020. And then she was killed by strangulation. And then Amber Costello, which probably should be September of 2010. And she was found in December of 2010. Yeah. Also died by strangulation. And then just a short time later, in January of 24, he was charged with some additional murders. A Maureen Brainerd, and she was last seen in 2007, July, and she was found December 13th, 2010. So then...
But with her, it wasn't until years later that they finally connected that one to him.
Yes, well,
pretty much with all of these, because they arrested
But
them.
wasn't she like one of the last ones that they were really going through her case to make sure that she was in fact part of the women that he had killed?
Well, they connected him through hair DNA. So there's a couple more. He's actually charged with 7. So the other ones are Sandra Castillo, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack. And 4 of these, just looking at the dates, I mean, these go back, the oldest being 1993. So that's kind of, in his spree, we don't know exactly when it started, because there's a lot of people they suspect that maybe he could have killed. But the earliest one that he's charged with was in 1993, and the latest would have been 2010. So at the very least, this thing went on for 7 years. But then he wasn't even arrested until 2023. So this investigation started actually back in 2010.
Right.
And it all stemmed from the disappearance of a Shannon Gilbert. And so law enforcement takes the report, and a lot of people think they probably didn't take it serious at first because a lot of these women that were killed were involved in...
Yeah, well, it started with a 911 call from her.
Sure. Well, it was Shannon Gilbert, yeah.
Yes. And so she dials 911 and is frantic and saying somebody's after her, they're after her, and she's running from house to house, knocking on doors, and then the phone goes dead and she's missing. And that's why they end up ultimately started the search, right? Because they were searching for her from this 911 call?
Yeah, they were searching for her. And all these women are sex workers, and that's where I was going to get at earlier. So there's a lot of people that just don't think that law enforcement take it serious.
Right.
So yeah, they began actually searching for her. And during the course of their search in December, so you're talking 7 months later, they find Melissa Bartholomew, who I don't know if they knew right away that this wasn't the person they were looking for, but I do know that a couple days later they found 3 more bodies. And I do know that of the 4, I don't think they were all identified immediately.
Yeah, because I think originally they thought it was Shannon, but Shannon actually had a titanium plate in her jaw. And so this body didn't have that, or the remains didn't have that. So then that's how they determined it wasn't her.
And all 4 of these bodies were found fairly close together. Mm-hmm. And they were found on Gilgo Beach, hence the name, the Gilgo Beach serial killer. So at this time, police are like, well, probably all connected. We probably have a serial killer we're going to be looking for. So anyways, it was in December then of the next year. Well, let me back up a little bit. So that was in 2010. That's when, December 2010, that's when they find those 3 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And just before that, they'd found one. So they have 4. March 29th of 2011, they find a skull, a forearm, and hands. They don't find a torso. So they have to do some DNA work, and they find out that this person that they found was Jessica Taylor. And her torso had actually already been found back in 2003.
Oh.
So now they have 5 people they found.
But in Pennsylvania, right? Wasn't their torso?
Yeah, the torso was found quite a ways away. So the only thing found kind of in the area of the first 4 were the body parts. The torso was found. It was north and east. But yeah, it was in a totally different area.
Bring up your map again.
Yeah, we'll bring that up.
Because how far is Pennsylvania from Gilgo Beach?
So her torso was found.
And how did it get there?
Yes.
I mean, was it in a body of water?
No, not that one. Where was that? Might have been one of these up here. People can't see us for listening, so they're probably going to get bored.
Yeah. Okay. Keep talking.
Yeah. Let me get back to my notes. So anyways, so they're still searching. So now I can't imagine if you're with law enforcement at this point, you found 5 people all we're not talking like a large area. We're talking the stretch of road is maybe 10, 15 miles. And it's in Long Island. So, but they're still searching. I suppose now wondering what the hell they're going to find. And on December 13th, 2011, that's when they find Shannon Gilbert. So now they've got 6 people. And then it goes cold.
Which they aren't necessarily linking Shannon's death to the same person.
No, when they found Shannon and they did the medical examination, it was originally ruled as undetermined. And they thought that maybe she died from maybe the elements or
overdose,
or an overdose. Because she was found and she wasn't wearing I don't think she's wearing pants or shoes. And she was found face up, and it was in a pretty swampy area. And I think maybe there was speculation that she drowned in the swamp, which some people found odd because she was found face up.
Yeah.
But then it kind of goes somewhat cold because they don't have any suspects really at this point. All they have is a bunch of bodies.
Yeah, and I think originally they thought could be 2 people because they weren't connecting that they thought this, whether they thought this Shannon was murdered or if she died from natural causes, whatever. But I think originally they thought it could be 2 people. That was a speculation. They were just kind of guessing at this point.
And at that time they had they didn't call it a chief of police. It was like it'd be similar to a chief of police. I'll just go with that. Police commissioner, maybe. And then there's kind of a changing of the guard. That police commissioner, he retires. And another police commissioner comes on board. And early on in the investigation, when they find these 6 bodies, they have the FBI is helping them out. They have the sheriff's office helping them out. So they've got some outside agencies also involved trying to help this investigation. And then for whatever reason, this new head of the department comes in and he says, nope, kicked them all out. And I think he even dismantled their task force that was involved with the case. And then nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. Until he gets arrested.
The police officer?
The police chief.
The police chief gets arrested. Oh, I think I did read that or see that. Yeah.
So he got arrested for his involvement. Well, I think initially it was an assault. Because I think that there was a burglary or a theft that was being investigated of somebody that broke into a car, a patrol car or something. It turns out it was his.
Yes, I do remember this story.
So then he roughs this kid up.
Yeah.
So he does that and the FBI gets involved.
Well, what he stole was important, right?
Yeah, what he stole was interesting. So the kid stole a bag out of this cruiser, and in the bag is porn.
Yeah.
I think it was just his personal vehicle.
Was it his personal vehicle?
I don't think it was a cruiser.
But so they start investigating this guy, and then some other people come forward, I think another sex worker comes forward that he kind of came onto her and maybe roughed her up. I don't know, but he was definitely kind of into some weird shit.
He was dabbling.
Oh, yes. So he's out, and another chief is hired. And this chief is an ex-FBI agent who I think worked out of the New York area. I don't recall if she had any history or she was involved with the original case, but she opens it right back up and kind of gets the ball rolling again because it was dead. They were finding nothing. They wouldn't let the FBI
come in and help.
No, and they were kind of, I don't want to say they were making light of the murders, but they kind of were, because I think he obviously didn't have a whole lot of respect for the sex workers.
Right.
Didn't really care that it was sex workers being killed. So he just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Not a big enough deal for me. But this other new chief comes on and gets the ball rolling again. And it looks like on May 28th, 2020, so we're talking 2011 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Like 9 years of nothing. And this is after you've already found 6, 7 bodies, all in a pretty small area. And you would think at that point, like it would be all hands on deck. You want everybody involved, but not that cheap. But so May 28th, 2020, they get things going again, and they identify a Jane Doe that they had found is a Valerie Mack. And I think the Valerie Mack, that was a Jane Doe that was found even prior to the investigation of the Gilgo 4. That was the first 4 bodies were found. And then in July, that's when the police finally announced the arrest of Rex. And I kind of want to get into that because when I saw how they ultimately determined that it was Rex Heuermann, I kind of couldn't believe what I was seeing. So previously, one of the missing girls had a boyfriend that she worked with. I don't know if it was acted as a pimp or what. But anyways, this Rex, who at that time they didn't know who he was, is trying to hire her or paying her, offering her money for her services. And he shows up to the house or apartment, whatever she lived in.
I think this is her roommate you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is this the one? That's her roommate.
Was it her roommate?
Yeah, it was just a room. Yeah,
a
guy she lived with.
But they kind of had a scam going. I think from one of the a documentary maybe I saw. And so Rex shows up. And according to the documentary I saw, I don't know how this actually played out or if this is even true, but they had a scam where the John would show up. She would take the money. The roommate or whatever would come busting out of a room and act like he was a boyfriend who was just walking in, chase the guy off, and they would keep the money.
Yeah, maybe this isn't the same one, but is he ultimately the one that described him?
He is, because when he's talking to police after she's reported missing, he describes that this guy had kept contacting her, and so she decided she's going to meet up with him.
Right. Yep. So it's the same one. Yeah, that was the roommate.
And was never seen or heard from again. But so he describes to police this great big giant man. I can't remember how he described him as
he described him as an ogre.
As an ogre.
Yeah.
Great big guy. And that he was driving a green Avalanche. Dark green. Now, this is back in like 2010. And they don't make the arrest till 23. And I thought, well, Jesus, you would think the first thing you would do, especially in a case like this, now that they found bodies, is, well, we're looking for a big guy who drives a green Avalanche. Let's check the area where we're at least and see how many green Chevy Avalanches are registered.
Yeah, they did that with Ted Bundy finding the yellow Volkswagen. Like, why wouldn't they do it with a green?
Why wouldn't they do it right away?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's what they ended up doing in like 2023. Jeez. And so they look up green Avalanches, registered to people in the area. And then they look for a registered owner that's a big dude. And that's when they first come up with the name Rex Heuermann.
Also, one of the pieces of evidence from one of the bodies was a belt.
Yeah, there was a belt that was found.
There was a belt with the initials on it that was WH or HM. And so they were trying to link this belt. And ultimately, it tied to Rex's grandpa. His name was William Hewerman.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. And so they were linking this belt to him, thinking it's his grandfather. It was his grandpa's belt.
Well, they discovered this Rex Hewerman. He lives in the area, and he works in New York, which is interesting because he doesn't live far from where the bodies are found, and he doesn't work far. He works in New York, downtown New York, from where some people were reported missing, some of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start looking at, I think, some cell phone data, and they start tracking his cell phone and some burner phones and victims' phones, and notice that.
Yeah, they actually linked him from making calls to the sister of one of the victims from the victim's phone.
Yeah.
So he uses the victim's phone and ends up calling the sister and harassing the sister. And that's ultimately, I think, how they linked him in the vicinity is from this. He kind of screwed up and was making these calls.
Yeah, it's funny how the burner phones that were used to contact the victims to set up the initial meetings.
Yeah.
His cell phone and their cell phones all seem to track together. So they start kind of watching this guy.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, he was on the, like, whatever, Craigslist or all these different sites, seeking out sex workers, basically. And so he was on all these sites and then using like a Google app phone number so it wouldn't be traced, I think, is what I read. Something like that.
I don't know, but he's definitely got their attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start kind of following him around, keeping an eye on him. And they see him leaving I don't know if this is his work, with a pizza box. He throws it in the trash, so they pull it so they can get a DNA sample, just to see if there's any DNA they can track, because at least 4 of those victims, they found hair that didn't belong to the victims. And so they checked his DNA, and lo and behold, his DNA matched 4 of those victims. And then it was shortly after that they made an arrest, and then they did a search warrant. So this Rex, he's married, has 2 kids, and he's an architect. He's an architect, and they go to do the search at his house. And if you saw it,
yeah,
it's not what you'd picture.
Yeah, not for an architect's house. You would think
No.
an architect would have a nice house, but he had like the dumpiest house in the neighborhood.
Oh, definitely the dumpiest house in the neighborhood, because when you kind of scroll around, you look at the neighbors' houses, I mean, they're kind of nice places.
Yeah.
Nice yards.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
think
get
they were definitely the eyesore of the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, you get to Rex, and it looks like a creepy old house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And inside of the house, when they did that documentary, I mean, it was a complete hoarder house. There was crap everywhere. And you would think an architect would be meticulous and just not live that way at all. But it was a complete hoarder house. There was just boxes and boxes stacked on everything everywhere.
No, and when you look at him, so he did an interview with, I don't know if it was another newspaper or what it was. And you can find the interview either on documentaries, and I'm sure you can probably just find it on YouTube. But when you listen to him and you look at him, he looks like a pretty clean guy obviously he's a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty clean guy. And then you look at his house and you're an architect in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I looked at your house, I would think you work at McDonald's or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, odd.
Yeah.
I mean, in that interview, he's kind of odd. He acts a little odd
Was
to
family.
me, but
Yeah. Well, his family's kind of odd too.
oh yes, for sure.
So
yeah. I mean, we can go into that whole saga too about the wife, the kids.
Yeah. They're a different breed.
So yeah, the backstory on that is in the documentary, she talks about how either she was divorced, yes. So her son is with somebody else. So she has this boy, and she describes this relationship with Rex as just a friendship, like non-threatening. He didn't act like he wanted anything more from her, and it was just a friendship relationship. And so then they moved in together as like a roommate situation, nothing more than that. And then throughout the years, then he finally says, well, I guess, would you want to just go ahead and get married? Type of thing. So it kind of, in hindsight, when you look at the relationship, it's not a normal romantic relationship. You kind of almost have to think they started out as it's a friendship, it's a partnership, it's roommates. She maybe doesn't know what's going on in his life because of that. Maybe from the get-go, they kind of have this separation of their lives and are not really in tune to one another. That's what I'm thinking.
When did they get married? Is that something you can look up? Because his, in the murders that he's charged with, that first murder is in 93. And something else that's kind of interesting is, so in 4 of the victims' bodies, they find hair where they match some of the hair to Rex. But in 2 of them, they find somebody else's hair on one of them that, was it 3?
3 of them, they found hers. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the one on 93, they found what was described as hair from a female that he lived with at the time. And I don't know if that was the wife or if there was another female that he lived with.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I do find it odd because I think they find the daughter's hair.
I thought I had heard that or read that.
Yeah.
The daughter's hair was involved too.
I don't know, but I do know that they found the wife's hair and they found his.
Yeah, because the big thing is,
first thing I find, it just says of over 25 years. His wife of more than 25 years.
So that would be the late 90s, mid 90s.
Mid 90s?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which they had lived together before that, because like I
Sure.
said, she described it as just living as roommates.
April of
like
96.
okay. So I don't know. Might have been hers. It's just weird that they didn't actually list it, because on some of the other ones, they actually listed it as his wife's hair. But then on that one from 93, it's only listed as a female that he resided with at the time.
Yeah, and maybe he was living with somebody else at the time. Because like I said, she was in a different relationship. She's not originally from the United States.
No, she's not.
She's from a different country.
Yep.
Which she is very odd. Her behavior's odd. She acts like, in my point of view, she acts like she's easily controlled or vulnerable, or she's got this weird loyalty to him. It's odd.
I want to call it. What are these?
She fully does not believe that he's guilty of this.
No, not at all. Even though they conducted the search warrant on the house, and they find a room in his basement. It's a room that supposedly nobody's allowed to go into.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And it's...
there's people have private rooms or whatever, but I don't know.
So she was born in New York.
Well, I was sure they met in it, like she had come here from another country.
I think so too. Asa?
Yeah. It says was born August of 1963 in South Farmingdale, New York.
Maybe she just moved to another country. Anyways, in this little room they find, and I don't find this terribly odd with the guns because I know a lot of gun collectors, but they find like about 200 guns. But then they also take like a computer. Gosh, what else did they take? But on the computer, that's when they start finding like the sick porn stuff.
Yeah.
Not like normal
weird
porn, but like torture porn.
Necrophilia. Pedophilia. Yeah, lots of different.
And cutting up bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also find like a list. I don't know if you call it a list.
Yeah, it was like a to-do list or how to improve my craft type of list.
Yeah. And so he would list out, locations where you could maybe dump bodies.
Yeah.
He listed out supplies. I can't remember if he listed out methods. But, I mean, it's not something you would find on my computer.
Yeah. And with all of that, she still has this blind faith in him and like, he's my hero and this is not the man I know. And it has an audio of her phone call to the jail to talk to him. And it's just so odd. I don't know. It just makes you feel like maybe she was groomed or she's got that Stockholm syndrome where she's, partial to her captor type of thing. I don't know.
Something else. So he's arrested and he's charged with, I think right now they're up to 7 different people. But they find like in the area, like 18 bodies, including, the Gilbert girl, who he hasn't been connected with yet. But a lot of these bodies are mutilated. They're cut up and the parts are spread. Like, is it Taylor? Where they found her torso in 2003. Then they found her head, her hands.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's to keep from identifying the bodies. He didn't want to get caught, so.
And they suspect that he did this maybe in the little room in the basement where nobody else was allowed to go.
Yeah, a real-life Dexter.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Yeah, because it even said how there was thumbtacks in the ceiling tiles where they suspect he was hanging the tarps from in order to protect everything, because they even had taken the ceiling tiles and these thumbtacks to check for DNA or evidence.
And they also noted that at the time of the disappearances or the dates that they suspect that the murders took place, the rest of his family was on vacation and he was home by himself.
Yeah, and I feel like I read, though, that maybe necessarily isn't true. They hadn't really verified the dates yet.
And that's where I find the hair thing a bit confusing. Is why is somebody else's hair there?
Yeah, that's where the speculation is. Did she help him because her hair is on 3 of the bodies? Which they said, well, he's in the same house.
Sure, but he's in a room and nobody else is allowed to go.
Yeah.
So.
And with her behavior and so loyal to him, I could totally see her helping. Now, there's rumors that they were swingers and that she was involved in this activity and that's how they would get women to their house.
I've seen pictures of her and him, and I really want to believe that they weren't swingers. But
I mean, Well, if you're talking a sex worker and the right amount of money, I mean, they're probably like, okay.
But I'm talking like swingers.
Like other couples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh.
Oof.
Wow. Well, so the other weird thing is the daughter. So she is apparently an artist, and her artwork is really questionable. Her artwork is very dark and actually depicts bodies with parts missing and dripping blood and very, very dark. Almost to the point of, are you painting something that you've seen? Or why I don't know.
It just her
Very
Yeah.
demonic.
Very demonic.
Very, very dark. There's specifically one there of like bodies with the arms pulled apart and dripping blood on both. Like, it's weird. Why? I don't know. Just really weird.
anytime I look at murders or a murder case and it involves people being dismembered, like their head removed or their hands removed, the head being the worst. I don't know why. I mean, I don't want to say I'm trying to understand it, but I mean, I've hunted and I've cut the head off an animal before for taxidermy.
It's a trophy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just have a hard time, even if you have some sort of and maybe I'm thinking that maybe he just wanted to be rough with his sexual acts and he just accidentally killed all these women because he hit them over the head or something or choked them out with some weird fetish with choking. But when you start cutting their limbs off, that's like a whole new, I mean, murder is one thing. But when I think about somebody killing another person and then like actually cutting or sawing their head completely off of their body,
Yeah.
and their arms or their hands or their legs, and then you package them up separately and then you're disposing of them in different areas, that takes a pretty sick person.
Yeah, and there's obviously some kind of fetish or something. But so I saw an interview with a gal that actually said she went on a date with him.
Oh, I think I might have seen that.
Did you see that? Her name was Nikki Brass, and she did this interview, and this would have been, I think she said it was 2015 when this happened. And she met him on one of these sites, and through this Google app phone number, met up with him, and she was smart enough to, and at the time she also was a sex worker, and I think she even said that she was an addict at the time, and met up with him, and he wanted her to come to him or come to his house and go towards him, and she refused to do that. So she demanded that they meet up in a public place, and so he finally obliged and met her in this public place, and they had dinner and drinks. And she said that initially it started off like normal conversation, and she was getting to know him. And of course, at this time, I think he was in his 40s, and I think she was early 20s. I don't know, young. And the conversation got to where he asks her, "Are you interested in true crime?" And she actually was, and she said, "Yeah, I am." And they started talking about these different serial killers, and then he asks her, "Have you heard of the Gilgo Beach murders?" And she says, "Well, yeah, obviously I'm from Long Island. Who hasn't heard of these?" And so he started asking her questions about what she thought about the Gilgo Beach murders. And, well, who do you think would do such a thing? And why do you think it's sex workers? And or said something to the fact, well, I mean, I guess they all are sex workers. And then he kind of backtracked a little bit and said, well, but I'm not saying anything bad about you. I know that you have potential. and still have, could make something of your life. But then he asks her questions like, how do you think he disposed of the bodies? And how do you think he got away with disposing of the bodies without being seen, and asking her detailed questions? And she said his demeanor almost changed when he was talking about it. Like he sat up real straight and got confident, as if he wanted to basically tell somebody how he was doing this. And he brought up the burlap sacks, and he had mentioned that, well, I think if I would want to get rid of a body, I'd go in a dark, desolate place where nobody could see me, and I would wade through the swamp. He's basically telling her how he's doing this with her not here, her kind of being oblivious as to what he's talking about. But ultimately, she kind of gets creeped out a little bit by this whole conversation, and he wants her to go back with him to his house. And she's like, no, I don't think so. And she said something to the fact that she would follow him, and he said, no, I don't want you to follow me. I want you to get in my car. And she said, no, I'm not doing that. He definitely wanted to get her back to his house in his car. And she ultimately said no and took off and left. But it just was very telling that he would describe how he got rid of the bodies, or how the Gilgo Beach killer would have gotten rid of the bodies.
So that's where I start to wonder if you mentioned that it almost sounded like he wanted to share.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said.
Doing. Yeah. And it just makes you wonder if he was already sharing that with his wife, like it was some sort of an experience. Maybe he got off on it and she just went along with it. I don't know. Wasn't there another person that, maybe I'm thinking of a different murder, but got the victim back to a house and she heard something and took off?
No, that was on the Netflix thing. But yeah, didn't they meet
at a
house,
apartment?
and it was something about selling cocaine. And then he took her to some other house, and she said she was sitting downstairs, and he said, set up the drugs. And he went upstairs, and that's when she thought what she heard was kind of a wrestling around, two people kind of.
Oh, it almost sounded like, yeah, two people.
Two people kind of fighting each other or pushing each other around. And that's when she's like, yeah, no, there's somebody else in this house. And she took off.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, but didn't she run into him on her way out? Didn't he come down the stairs?
I think he came running down the stairs, but she was able to get out of the house.
Huh.
Now, how freaky would that be to be either one of those two people? And then they arrest this guy, and you're watching TV, and there his face pops up, and you're like, holy shit, I just had lunch with that dude.
So it makes you wonder, who is he wrestling with, or who is he making noise? Was it his wife?
No, because I don't believe it was his house. She made it sound like it was more of a 2-story house. And she said, I didn't know if it was somebody else that was there to help him, or if he had somebody
I can't remember.
Interesting.
Had somebody tied up upstairs or held captive.
Huh.
He also, so when I think of these types of lunatics or crazy people, obviously they've got some mental problems. It doesn't fit the mental picture I make of what a person would look like. I mean, when you look at people like, who's the one that ate all of his victims?
Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. You look at him, and I look at him as like, oh yeah, that guy's a weirdo. I mean, he looks like a weirdo.
He's got the glasses, though.
Yeah, but he doesn't look.
So does Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I've got my serial killer glasses on. Yeah, I mean, look, he's not an attractive fellow. Let's put it that way. He's just not. but he's also not, like you said, he's a clean guy. He's not grimy and gross like you might picture, like Jeffrey Dahmer, greasy hair or whatever, unkempt and stinky.
It's weird how you can look at certain people and you're like, oh yeah, that person is a fucking weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
They probably killed somebody.
Well, who is the serial killer in Kansas?
I don't know.
That other dad that people were so baffled. Wasn't there one in Kansas?
Is it recent?
No.
You mean the BTK killer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was
he was just
preacher.
Kind of.
Yeah, he was a normal
guy,
normal white dude.
Well, I think he actually is the one that did a news conference or something. Did an interview with somebody and said, "Yeah, this guy's just like me."
Yeah, and the daughter, the BTK killer's daughter, actually went and spoke with this family, this daughter and wife, and said, don't blame yourselves for not knowing what was going on and sympathizing with them. But
I don't know either.
Wife just is very odd. The wife does not act like, I would think in that situation, she would be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. I can't believe he's like, da-da-da. But she is just.
She's like extremely gullible.
Monotone.
And she's standing by his side.
And he's still my hero. And it's just very odd behavior.
Yeah. The article that I read, it said that she divorced him just to save their assets.
Yes.
So she wouldn't lose the house.
Yes.
Yeah,
she's still she's still
lose that house
standing by his side. That's
I do think that recently the daughter came out and said, yeah, he probably did it.
That's what I was reading.
It's like, well, it's because he drew pictures of all of them.
Well, that's the thing was that in her subconscious where she'd actually see this stuff as a child, and that's why her artwork is the way it is, because
I don't know. It is very, very strange.
The whole thing is strange. It'll be interesting to find out all the details that come out with this and what else that, because we don't probably have the tip of the iceberg with this one.
No, they're not going to release all of their evidence. I don't even know if you would have half of it.
Right. Well, and I think I read somewhere too that, they're maybe suspecting him to have relation with all these murders all around this. I think it said like Route 91. I'm sure that's not it, and I think it was from Long Island all the way to South Carolina.
Well, and I think that he'd made some trips out to Las Vegas, and so there was still some missing people in Las Vegas. I think some sex workers, and they suspect that, no proof, but
right.
When you have a serial killer that seems to be his MO. He goes after sex workers, and he's killed a bunch of them. That when you know that he's been out to your neck of the woods, and my God, you're missing some sex workers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of natural to say, got to look at him.
Sure.
But if it wasn't for that hair and the DNA, they probably wouldn't have linked him. Well, they wouldn't have linked him to these cases, other than vehicle description and his description by the...
Yeah, because his MO is just not... He's just a normal architect in New York City.
Well...
All right. Well, to be continued with this one.
Yeah. Be interesting to hear the court case.
All right.
Well, I guess we'll see you next time.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Later.